Captain Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the research vessel Prometheus, watching the swirling purple-black clouds of the Void Nebula twist through space. Even through the ship's advanced radiation shielding, her radiation badge was registering levels that would make most alien species uncomfortable. But then again, that's why humans were out here when no one else would come. "Captain, we're picking up something strange." Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice broke through her contemplation. His dark eyes were fixed on the sensor readouts, brow furrowed in concentration. "Define strange, Lieutenant." Chen moved to his station, her boots making solid thuds against the deck plates. After 5 years of working with alien species, she still hadn't gotten used to how they flinched at the sound of human footsteps. Everything about humans seemed too heavy, too solid to them. Rodriguez adjusted some controls, his hands moving with practiced precision. "It's a distress signal." "But that's impossible. Nothing lives in the Void Nebula. The radiation levels alone ruled." "Show me," Chen ordered, leaning over his shoulder. The signal pulsed on his screen, a complex pattern of energy fluctuations that didn't match any known emergency beacon. "Running it through the xenolinguistic database now," Rodriguez reported. His fingers danced across the holographic interface. No match with any known species distress protocols. Chen straightened, her mind racing. The Void Nebula was considered uninhabitable by every spacefaring race in the galaxy. Even humans, with their remarkable radiation resistance, couldn't survive long-term exposure without significant protection. The idea that someone was out there, broadcasting for help. "Dr. Puddle to the bridge," she called over the intercom. If anyone could make sense of this signal, it would be their xenobiologist. Dr. Patil arrived moments later, her small frame practically vibrating with curiosity. "What have you found, Captain?" "Something impossible," Chen replied, gesturing to Rodriguez's station. "A distress signal from inside the nebula." Patil's eyes widened as she studied the readouts. "These energy patterns, they're not random." She began typing rapidly, pulling up comparison charts. "Look at the harmonic resonance. It's almost like the signal itself is alive." "Alive?" Rodriguez asked, skepticism clear in his voice. "Energy-based life forms," Patil breathed, her excitement growing. "We've theorized about them, but never found concrete evidence. Beings of pure energy, capable of surviving in environments that would kill any organic life." She looked up at Chen, her eyes shining. "Captain, this could be first contact with an entirely new form of life." Chen felt the weight of command settle on her shoulders. The Prometheus was a research vessel, not a rescue ship. Their mission was to study the nebula's unique properties, not conduct emergency operations. But if there really were intelligent beings out there in danger, how far to the signal source? She asked Rodriguez. "Approximately 6 hours at maximum safe speed through the nebula," he replied. "But Captain, our shields weren't designed for deep nebula penetration. We'd be pushing their limits." Chen nodded, considering their options. Humanity's presence in this sector was already controversial. Many species in the Galactic Council still viewed humans as dangerous primitives, Deathworlders, who evolved on a planet so harsh it should never have produced intelligent life. Operating this close to the nebula had required months of diplomatic negotiations. If they ventured deeper without authorization, it could trigger an interstellar incident. But there were lives at stake. Maybe lives that no other species in the galaxy could save. "Plot a course to the signal," she ordered. "Dr. Patel, I want everything you can tell me about potential energy-based life forms." "Lieutenant Rodriguez, start compiling shield efficiency data. We'll need it to justify our actions to the Council." As her crew jumped into action, Chen returned to the viewport. The nebulous clouds seemed darker now, hiding both danger and possibility in their depths. Humanity had clawed its way to the stars despite evolving on a world that should have killed them. Their stubborn survival had made other species fear them. But maybe, Chen thought, watching the nebula swirl, that same stubborn survival was exactly what the galaxy needed right now. Message coming in from the signal source, Rodriguez announced suddenly. It's cleaning up the interference. Got it. A voice filled the bridge, not sound but pure energy converted to communication by their ship's advanced systems. To any who receive this, we are the luminary. Our containment fields are failing. Our children's light dims. Please, we need help. The message repeated, a loop of desperation transmitted into the void. Chen straightened her uniform, a habit from her Earth Space Force days. Acknowledge the signal, she ordered. Let them know help is coming. As Rodriguez transmitted their response, Chen began composing a message to Earth Emergency Response Command in her head. She was about to violate at least 6 different diplomatic protocols, but she couldn't bring herself to care. Somewhere in that deadly nebula, children were dying. Their parents were watching their light fade. Protocol could wait. Humanity had built its civilization on helping those in need, on seeing challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles. The Galactic Council called them Deathworlders, like it was an insult. Today, they would show the galaxy that surviving on a death world had taught humanity more than just how to endure. It had taught them how to save others. Signal acknowledged, Captain, Rodriguez reported. They're transmitting their exact coordinates and containment field specifications. Send everything to engineering, Chen ordered. I want options by the time we reach them. She keyed the ship-wide comm. All hands, this is the captain. We've received a distress signal from within the nebula. We are responding. This is not a research mission anymore. This is a rescue operation. Prepare accordingly. As her crew acknowledged the order, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The Prometheus might be a research vessel, but it was still a human ship, built by people who never learned when to quit. And its crew were the descendants of ancestors who had survived ice ages, wars, plagues, and their own stubborn determination to reach the stars. The nebula's deadly radiation didn't stand a chance against several million years of evolution on a death world. They would save these energy beings, protocol be damned. And maybe, just maybe, they would teach the galaxy that being a Deathworlder wasn't a curse. It was a gift they were ready to share. The holographic chamber aboard the Prometheus hummed with tension as Captain Chen faced the Emergency Response Command representatives. Their images flickered slightly, distorted by the nebula's interference. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Captain, Admiral Hassan's hologram said, his silver-streaked hair catching the light. You've discovered a previously unknown species of energy-based life forms living inside the Void Nebula, and they're in immediate danger. Yes, sir. Chen stood straight, hands clasped behind her back. The luminaries' containment fields are failing. Without them, their energy signatures will dissipate into the nebula. They'll die, Admiral. And you're certain these beings are sentient? They initiated contact, sir. Their message was clear and coherent. Dr. Patel has confirmed their energy patterns show signs of complex organization consistent with advanced intelligence. Hassan exchanged looks with the other ERC members. You realize, Captain, that any rescue operation would require entering restricted space. The Council's prohibition on human ships in the nebula is absolute. With respect, Admiral, Chen replied. Those restrictions were put in place because the Council believed nothing could survive in the nebula. The luminary's existence changes everything. It's not that simple, Councillor Zhang cut in, her hologram shimmering. The Council fears human expansion. They see our ability to survive in extreme environments as a threat. If we send ships into the nebula, even for a rescue mission, then we prove them right, Chen interrupted, earning sharp looks from the command staff. We prove that humans can go where others can't. But we also prove that we use that ability to help, not to conquer. A new hologram materialized. Dr. Emily Santos, Earth's leading xenobiologist. The captain's right. This isn't just about saving lives. The luminary represent an entirely new form of intelligent life. Their very existence challenges our understanding of consciousness itself. The Council won't see it that way, John warned. They'll see humans violating territorial agreements, demonstrating capabilities that frighten them. Then let them be frightened, Chen said firmly. But let them be frightened while we save lives, not while we stand by and watch an entire species die because we're afraid of political consequences. The chamber fell silent. Chen could see the conflict on their faces, the desire to help warring with diplomatic reality. She pressed her advantage. The Luminary have children, Admiral. Their message specifically mentioned their children's light dimming. Are we really going to let diplomatic protocols stop us from saving them? Hassan's hologram stepped forward, his expression grave. What's your assessment of the rescue conditions, Captain? Severe, sir. Radiation levels inside the nebula are off the charts. Standard shields won't last 10 minutes. We'd need the Void Fleet. The Void Fleet, humanity's latest achievement in spacecraft design. Ships specifically built to operate in conditions that would destroy conventional vessels. They were also exactly the kind of technology that made the Council nervous about human capabilities. The Council will object, Zhang said, but her tone had shifted from opposition to consideration. Then let them object, Hassan replied. Captain Chen is right. We can't let politics stop us from doing what's right. He straightened. Decision made. I'm authorizing emergency deployment of the Void Fleet. Captain, your ship will serve as our eyes and ears until they arrive. The Council is already calling, Admiral, an aide announced off-screen. Put them through, Hassan ordered. Captain, maintain your position and continue monitoring the Luminary. Help is coming. As the command staff's holograms faded, Chen turned to find Dr. Patul waiting at her station. News from engineering, Captain, the xenobiologist reported. They've been analyzing the Luminary's containment field specifications. The technology is fascinating. It's like nothing we've ever seen. Can we help them? Chen asked, cutting to the heart of the matter. Maybe. The principles are similar to our radiation shielding, just operating on a much more sophisticated level. If we could adapt our shield generators. Do it, Chen ordered. I want options ready when the Void Fleet arrives. The next few hours were a blur of activity. The Council's reaction was predictably explosive, with multiple species demanding humans withdraw from the nebula immediately. But Earth stood firm, and as reports of the Luminary's situation spread, other voices began to join the debate. Captain, Rodriguez called out, incoming transmission from the Luminary. The bridge speakers crackled with energy transformed to sound. Our gratitude for your response, human vessel. But our containment fields weaken faster than predicted. Already some of our elders fade, choosing to transfer their remaining energy to strengthen the fields protecting our young. Chen felt her heart clench. She'd seen sacrifice before, but this, beings literally giving up their existence to buy time for their children. Help is coming, she promised. Just hold on. We observe your ship's energy patterns, the Luminary continued. Your shields, they resist the Void's destruction, yet you are not energy beings. How do you survive here? Chen smiled slightly. We come from a world that taught us to be stubborn. When something seems impossible, we find a way. There was a pause, then, perhaps, this is why the universe guided our call to you. Those who survive darkness best understand the value of light. The poetic response startled Chen. These beings weren't just intelligent. They were philosophers, poets, an entire civilization about to be lost if help didn't arrive in time. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, Rodriguez announced suddenly. It's the Void Fleet, Captain. 5 ships, led by the Stormbreaker. On the main screen, massive shapes emerged from hyperspace. Human ships unlike anything else in the galaxy. Their hulls were matte black, absorbing radiation instead of reflecting it. Multiple layers of shields created visible distortions in space around them. They were ugly by most species standards, but to Chen, they were beautiful. This is Captain Marcus Williams of the Stormbreaker, a new voice announced. Heard you found some folks who need a hand. Chen grinned. Welcome to the neighborhood, Stormbreaker. Hope you brought your radiation suits. We got some new friends to save. As the Void Fleet moved into position, Chen couldn't help but think about how this would change things. The Council would be furious, yes, but they would also be watching. And they would see humanity using its greatest strengths not to conquer or destroy, but to preserve life. Let them watch, she thought. Let them see what Deathworlders can really do. The Void Fleet's arrival had transformed the region of space around the Prometheus. 5 massive ships held position in a protective formation, their specialized shields creating ripples in the nebula's purple-black clouds. On the Prometheus's bridge, Captain Chen watched the Stormbreaker's rescue teams prepare for deployment. Their primary containment field is down to 18% capacity, Dr. Paddle reported, her eyes fixed on the readouts. Secondary fields are failing in sequence. The Luminary are burning through their own energy to maintain what's left. Captain Williams's hologram flickered in the command center. Our shield modifications are ready. The question is whether they'll be compatible with the Luminary's containment technology. They have to be, Chen replied. We didn't come all this way to fail now. She turned to Dr. Patel. What have you learned about their energy patterns? The xenobiologist pulled up a complex diagram. The Luminary exist as organized energy states. Think of them as living plasma, held together by incredibly sophisticated containment fields. These fields don't just contain them, they're part of their biology. Without them, they dissipate into the nebula. Chen finished. How many have we lost? 12 elders so far. Paddle's voice was heavy. They chose to release their energy into the containment fields protecting the children's creche. But even with their sacrifice, we have less than 4 hours before total system failure. Williams nodded grimly. Then we move now. Commander Rivera's team has adapted our shield generators to project containment fields that should match the Luminary's frequency. We'll need to establish a direct connection to their existing systems, which means sending teams into the colony structure, Chen said, through radiation that would kill most species in minutes. Good thing we're not most species. Williams managed a tight smile. My teams are already suited up. These new radiation suits should buy us enough time. Should? Rodriguez asked from his station. Welcome to human engineering, Lieutenant, Williams replied. Sometimes should is the best we got. But should built the pyramids, split the atom, and got us to the stars. Chen pulled up the colony schematics, which the Luminary had transmitted. They had gathered most of their population in these central chambers, but the shield generator interfaces are here, here, and here. She pointed to 3 locations. We'll need teams at all 3 points to synchronize the field generation. The radiation exposure, Dr. Patel began, is within acceptable limits for short-term human exposure, Williams finished. Barely, but we can handle it. Incoming transmission from the Luminary, Rodriguez announced. The voice that filled the bridge seemed weaker than before, the energy-to-sound conversion wavering. Human friends, we observe your preparations, but you should know, the Void's power grows stronger. Our observations suggest a radiation storm approaches. Chen exchanged looks with Williams. A radiation storm would make an already dangerous mission nearly impossible, but they were out of options. How long until the storm hits? She asked. 3 hours, perhaps less. It will overwhelm what remains of our containment fields. Then we move now, Williams declared. Better to try and fail than wait for certain death. Chen nodded. Agreed. All ships. This is Captain Chen. Operation Light Guardian is now in effect. Rescue teams, prepare for deployment. Engineering teams, begin shield modification sequences. The next 30 minutes were controlled chaos as the rescue operation sprang into motion. The Void Fleet moved into a tighter formation around the Luminary colony, their overlapping shields creating a bubble of relative stability in the nebulous chaos. From the Stormbreaker's launch bay, 3 teams of rescue specialists emerged in heavily modified radiation suits. The suits were ugly, bulky things, layers of radiation shielding wrapped around environmental systems that would keep a human alive in conditions that should be impossible to survive. Remember, Williams's voice came through the team channels. We're not just fighting the radiation. These beings are literally made of energy. One wrong move, one containment field fluctuation, and we could lose dozens of them. Steady hands, people. Chen watched from the Prometheus as the teams approached the colony structure. It was beautiful in its own way. A lattice of energy fields and crystalline conduits that contained and channeled the luminary's living light. Now that light was dimming, sections of the structure already dark where containment fields had failed. First team in position. The comm crackled. Beginning interface setup. Radiation levels. High but manageable. Second team approaching interface point. We've got some field instability here. Adjusting approach vector. Third team, wait, we've got a problem. The interface port is degraded. We'll need to stabilize it before we can connect. Williams's voice cut through the chatter. Third team, you've got 15 minutes at those radiation levels. Make it count. Chen felt helpless watching the team's work. This was the kind of situation humans excelled at. Impossible conditions, deadly environment, everything going wrong. But even human resilience had its limits. Energy spike. Rodriguez called out suddenly. The storm, it's accelerating. On the main screen, they could see it coming. A wall of purple-white energy that made the nebula's normal radiation look tame by comparison. They had less time than they'd thought. All teams. Chen broadcast. Storm approaching. Time to completion. Team 1. Interface established. Beginning field synchronization. Team 2. Almost there. 3 minutes. Team 3. We need more time. This port won't stabilize. Williams's voice was steady. Third team, your radiation exposure is reaching critical levels. Fall back to the ship. Negative, sir, the team leader responded. We can get this. Diverting power from our suit shielding to the stabilization field. That'll kill you, Williams snapped. Maybe, but it'll give us the power we need. Sometimes maybe is all we've got, right, sir? Chen gripped her command chair as she watched the drama unfold. This was humanity at its core. Not just the strength to survive a death world, but the willingness to risk that survival to help others. The radiation storm loomed closer, its deadly energy building. On her screens, Chen could see the rescue team's vital signs, could watch as the third team's radiation exposure climbed into the red zone. But she could also see the containment field interfaces coming online, see the moment when human technology began to merge with luminary systems. They were almost out of time. But then again, humans usually were. And somehow, they usually found a way. The radiation storm hit like a tidal wave of pure energy. The Void Fleet's shields flared brilliant purple as they absorbed the initial surge, creating a protective bubble around the luminary colony. Inside their failing structure, thousands of energy beings waited to learn if their desperate call for help would save them, or if they would fade into the nebula's chaos. Shield synchronization at 67% and climbing. Dr. Puddle reported, her voice tense. The modifications are working, but the storm's interference is slowing the process. Team 3, status. Williams demanded over the comm. Interface. Stabilized. The response came between labored breaths. Initiating. Field sync now. Our suits are pretty much gone, sir, but we got it done. Chen watched the readouts as human shield technology merged with luminary containment fields. It was a jury-rigged solution, the kind of impossible engineering that humanity had built its reputation on. The kind that worked not because it was perfect, but because it had to. Energy transfer protocols established. Rodriguez announced. We're reading thousands of distinct signatures. The luminary are responding to the new containment fields. Through the viewport, Chen could see it happening. The dying light of the colony structure was stabilizing. Sections that had gone dark flickering back to life. The Luminary were learning to exist within the hybrid human-made fields, their living energy adapting to the new parameters. First group of Luminary transferring to the Stormbreaker's containment holds. Williams reported, "It's working, Captain. We're actually doing this." But victory hadn't come without cost. The radiation levels were still climbing, and Team 3's life signs were critical. "Medical teams to Emergency Airlock 3, Chen ordered. Prepare for severe radiation exposure cases. Negative on the medical evacuation." Team 3's leader countermanded. "We need to maintain position to stabilize the field sync. Just focus on the Luminary." Before Chen could argue, a new voice joined the channel. One of the Luminary elders, their energy voice stronger now within the stabilized fields. "Your people suffer to save ours. This is not acceptable." "We knew the risks," the team leader responded. "It's what humans do." "Perhaps," the elder replied, "but it is not what we do. You have shown us great courage. Allow us to show you the same." Through the viewport, Chen watched in awe as streams of living light emerged from the colony structure. The Luminary's energy forms were breathtaking. Like Aurora Borealis given consciousness and purpose, they flowed toward Team 3's position, surrounding the failing radiation suits. "What are they doing?" Williams demanded. "Fascinating," Dr. Patel breathed, studying her readings. They're using their own energy fields to shield the team, creating a protective barrier of pure energy around them. "Your bodies are different from ours," the elder explained. "But energy is energy. We can help maintain your containment as you have maintained ours." The team's vital signs began to stabilize as the Luminary's living light enveloped them. Meanwhile, the evacuation continued, with streams of energy beings flowing into the specialized containment holds aboard the Void Fleet's ships. 80% of the population transferred, Rodriguez reported. The hybrid containment fields are holding stable. Chen allowed herself to breathe a little easier. They were going to pull this off. Humanity's first encounter with energy-based life forms wasn't going to end in tragedy, but in triumph. A triumph built on cooperation, on different species learning to combine their strengths. "Captain," Rodriguez called out suddenly, "I'm picking up new signals. More ships dropping out of FTL." The main screen showed a dozen vessels appearing at the nebula's edge. Council ships, their sleek designs a stark contrast to the utilitarian bulk of the Void Fleet. They held position just outside the radiation zone, unable to venture closer. "They've been watching," Williams commented. "Probably monitoring since we first arrived." "Good," Chen replied. "Let them watch. Let them see what happens when species work together instead of fearing each other." The evacuation continued as the storm raged around them. The Void Fleet's shields held firm, powered by generators built to handle conditions that most species considered unsurvivable. One by one, the Luminary transferred to their new temporary homes, their living light filling specialized chambers designed in hours by human engineers who refused to accept failure. "Final groups beginning transfer," Rodriguez announced, "including the children's creche." Chen watched as the youngest Luminary were evacuated, their energy patterns simpler, purer than the adults. They flowed like streams of stardust, guided by their elders into the safety of human-made containment fields. All Luminary accounted for, Williams confirmed finally. Beginning rescue team extraction. Team 3 emerged last, still surrounded by the protective light of their Luminary guardians. Their radiation suits were in tatters, but they were alive, saved by the very beings they had come to rescue. As the teams returned to their ships, Chen composed a message to the watching council vessels. "The evacuation is complete. All Luminary have been safely transferred to containment holds aboard our ships. We will be transporting them to a safe location where they can establish a new colony." The council ships didn't respond directly, but Chen could imagine the impact of what they had witnessed. Humans, the feared Deathworlders, had just saved an entire civilization using technology they had developed because their homeworld had forced them to be strong. The storm is intensifying, Rodriguez reported. We should leave while our shields are still holding. Chen nodded. Signal the fleet. Take us out. As the ships turned away from the nebula, their holds filled with living light, Chen thought about how this would change things. The Council would have to reconsider their stance on human expansion now. It would be hard to argue that humanity's strength was a threat when they had just watched that strength save thousands of lives. Captain, the luminary elder's voice came through once more. Our people have a saying. In the depths of darkness, we find those who shine brightest. Today, you have proven the wisdom of those words. Chen smiled. We have a similar saying on Earth. The darkest nights produce the brightest stars. Perhaps that was what humanity's role in the galaxy would be. Not conquerors or threats, but the ones who could venture into the darkness to help others find their way back to the light. 3 weeks after the rescue, Captain Chen stood in the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council. The circular room was filled with representatives from dozens of species, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. But today, all eyes were on the display at the chamber's center, where a luminary elder's energy form danced like living starlight. We speak for all luminary, the elder's voice resonated through the chamber. Our new colony thrives in the artificial nebula created by human technology. Our children's light grows strong again. We owe our continued existence to those you once feared. The council chamber stirred with murmurs. The artificial nebula was another human innovation, a controlled radiation environment created using modified shield technology. It gave the luminary a safe place to rebuild while challenging everything the council thought they knew about human capabilities. The humans violated restricted space, a council member objected, their tentacles waving in agitation. They deployed military-grade technology without authorization. They saved our entire species, the luminary elder interrupted, their light pulsing with emotion. While you debated protocols, they acted. While you feared their strength, they used it to preserve life. Chen kept her expression neutral, but inside she felt pride, not just in humanity's actions, but in how they had changed perceptions. The rescue had forced the council to confront their prejudices about Deathworlders. Admiral Hassan's hologram appeared next to her. The Emergency Response Command has prepared a full report on the rescue operation, he announced, including technical specifications for the modified containment fields. We're prepared to share this technology with the Council. That caused an even bigger stir. Humans sharing the very technology that made other species nervous. It was unprecedented. The modifications were actually a joint development, Chen added. We couldn't have succeeded without understanding the luminary's own containment field technology. The final design is a true collaboration between species. The luminary elder's light brightened in agreement. Indeed. And this is perhaps the greatest lesson of our rescue. Different species, working together, can achieve what neither could alone. The humans' physical resilience combined with our energy manipulation, their protective instincts with our adaptive capabilities. Speaker Ven, the Council's current leader, leaned forward. The ancient being's compound eyes studied Chen carefully. You understand, Captain, that this incident changes things. Your species has demonstrated capabilities far beyond what we believed possible. Yes, Chen replied simply. We have. The question is, do you still see those capabilities as a threat or as an asset to the galactic community? Before Speaker Ven could respond, another voice joined the discussion. Dr. Patel had been invited to present her xenobiological findings, and now she stepped forward. If I may, she said, the luminary have shared something remarkable with us. Their understanding of energy patterns has already helped us improve our shield technology, not to make it stronger, but to make it more efficient, more adaptable. She smiled. In saving them, we gained knowledge that will help us save others. The luminary elder's light pulsed in agreement, and we have learned from humanity's example. Their determination to help others, even at great personal risk, has inspired us. We request permission to establish a permanent scientific exchange with Earth. That caused an explosion of discussion in the chamber. A formal exchange program would give humans access to advanced energy manipulation technology. It would legitimize their presence in regions of space previously considered off-limits. But it would also give the Council access to human innovations, survival technologies developed over millions of years of evolution on a world that should have killed them. Technologies that, as the rescue had proved, could save lives. Speaker Ven raised a hand for silence. Captain Chen, your actions violated numerous protocols. You risked interstellar incident. You deployed restricted technology. A pause. And in doing so, you saved thousands of lives and opened new possibilities for cooperation between species. The ancient being's compound eyes seemed to look not just at Chen, but at everything humanity represented. Perhaps it is time we reconsidered our definition of Deathworlder. Perhaps surviving difficult conditions does not make a species dangerous. Perhaps it makes them essential. The luminary elder's light swirled in complex patterns. We have a saying, the strongest light is born in darkness. Humanity emerged from what you considered a death world. But they emerged with not just the strength to survive, but the compassion to help others survive as well. Chen thought about the rescue teams who had risked their lives, about engineers working through impossible problems because lives depended on the solutions, about humanity's long history of reaching out to help others, even when it was dangerous, even when it was hard. We are who we are, she said simply. We come from a harsh world, yes. We're stronger than most species, more resilient, able to survive conditions others find deadly. But those aren't weapons, they're tools, and we choose to use them to help, to protect, to save. She gestured to the luminary elder's glowing form. The rescue proved that different species working together are stronger than either alone. Yes, humans can survive in environments others find deadly. That doesn't make us dangerous. It makes us able to help when no one else can. Speaker Ven was quiet for a long moment. Finally, they spoke. The Council recognizes the value of humanity's contribution to galactic society. We approve the scientific exchange program with the Luminary. Furthermore, we will establish a committee to review restrictions on human operations in previously restricted space. The chamber erupted in discussion again, but Chen barely heard it. She was watching the luminary elder's light dance with joy, thinking about the teams who had risked everything to save them, about the new possibilities opening up. Admiral Hassan's hologram appeared next to her. The Emergency Response Command has prepared a full report on the rescue operation, he announced, including technical specifications for the modified containment fields. We're prepared to share this technology with the Council. That caused an even bigger stir. Humans sharing the very technology that made other species nervous. It was unprecedented. The modifications were actually a joint development. Chen added, we couldn't have succeeded without understanding the Luminary's own containment field technology. The final design is a true collaboration between species. The luminary elder's light brightened in agreement. Indeed, and this is perhaps the greatest lesson of our rescue. Different species working together can achieve what neither could alone. The humans' physical resilience combined with our energy manipulation, their protective instincts with our adaptive capabilities. Speaker Ven, the Council's current leader, leaned forward. The ancient being's compound eyes studied Chen carefully. You understand, Captain, that this incident changes things. Your species has demonstrated capabilities far beyond what we believed possible. Yes, Chen replied simply. We have. The question is, do you still see those capabilities as a threat or as an asset to the galactic community? Before Speaker Ven could respond, another voice joined the discussion. Dr. Patel had been invited to present her xenobiological findings, and now she stepped forward. If I may, she said, the Luminary have shared something remarkable with us. Their understanding of energy patterns has already helped us improve our shield technology, not to make it stronger, but to make it more efficient, more adaptable. She smiled. In saving them, We gained knowledge that will help us save others. The luminary elders' light pulsed in agreement, and we have learned from humanity's example. Their determination to help others, even at great personal risk, has inspired us. We request permission to establish a permanent scientific exchange with Earth. That caused an explosion of discussion in the chamber. A formal exchange program would give humans access to advanced energy manipulation technology. It would legitimize their presence in regions of space previously considered off-limits. But it would also give the Council access to human innovations, survival technologies developed over millions of years of evolution on a world that should have killed them. Technologies that, as the rescue had proved, could save lives. Speaker Ven raised a hand for silence. Captain Chen, your actions violated numerous protocols. You risked interstellar incident. You deployed restricted technology. A pause. And in doing so, you saved thousands of lives and opened new possibilities for cooperation between species. The ancient being's compound eyes seemed to look not just at Chen, but at everything humanity represented. Perhaps it is time we reconsidered our definition of Deathworlder. Perhaps surviving difficult conditions does not make a species dangerous. Perhaps it makes them essential. The luminary elders' light swirled in complex patterns. We have a saying, "The strongest light is born in darkness." Humanity emerged from what you considered a death world. But they emerged with not just the strength to survive, but the compassion to help others survive as well. Chen thought about the rescue teams who had risked their lives, about engineers working through impossible problems because lives depended on the solutions, about humanity's long history of reaching out to help others, even when it was dangerous, even when it was hard. "We are who we are," she said simply. "We come from a harsh world, yes. We're stronger than most species, more resilient, able to survive conditions others find deadly. But those aren't weapons. They're tools, and we choose to use them to help, to protect, to save." She gestured to the luminary elder's glowing form. The rescue proved that different species working together are stronger than either alone. Yes, humans can survive in environments others find deadly. That doesn't make us dangerous. It makes us able to help when no one else can. Speaker Ven was quiet for a long moment. Finally, they spoke. "The Council recognizes the value of humanity's contribution to galactic society. We approve the scientific exchange program with the Luminary. Furthermore, we will establish a committee to review restrictions on human operations in previously restricted space." The chamber erupted in discussion again, but Chen barely heard it. She was watching the luminary elder's light dance with joy, thinking about the teams who had risked everything to save them, about the new possibilities opening up.